What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to week 12 of the 2019-2020 NFL football season. Hey, we've been here before, haven't we? 500 coming into this week. The Eagles, of course, are 5-5, going into another crucial game at home against a good opponent. Of course, last week they lost 17-10 to the Patriots in a low-scoring affair. This week they're playing against possible this year's MVP Russell Wilson, Danger Russ, and the Seattle Seahawks coming off a bye week, and they've been playing very well. Obviously, the game before the bye, they won a big divisional game on the road against the 49ers, and in a way, I would have felt better if the Eagles were playing them coming off that game, because obviously that's a big emotional game on the road against a division opponent. You get a big win, and then, of course, you got to come across country to play an Eagles team. That's a good team, that could be a postseason team and whatnot. So I'm not saying Seattle wouldn't be up for the game, but certainly are coming off an emotional victory, overtime, and what have you. But it is what it is. They are coming off a bye, and the Eagles have to do whatever they can, even though they have, stop me if you heard this one before, some injuries going into this game. Lane Johnson does not look like he's going to play, still in the concussion protocol. Jordan Howard probably isn't going to play, still has that stinger dealing with. And there's a possibility that, hey, even though we've been very angry at him over the season, Nelson Aguilar might not play. Obviously, his status is still up in the air with hurt feelings. And Alshon Jeffrey, his status is still up in the air. But it just seems his status is up in the air just about every week. He's almost becoming like Jason Peters at this point. But anyhow, with all due respect to the future Hall of Famer. With that being said, Dillard will play right tackle for Lane Johnson. Peters will be in there for however long he is. I would imagine we'll see Vitae in there at some point. All due respect to the man, I mean, look, again, future Hall of Famer. He's been a great Eagle for many years, but Jason Peters is just about as dependable on the field as as a a knockoff piece of clothing. I don't know, but it's bad. It's bad with all these injuries they have had to overcome. It amazes me that every week it seems more players are getting hurt. I mean, I look around the league. I know there's been teams that have had injuries as well, but for whatever reason, the Eagles, it's like every year, it's injury after injury after injury after injury. It just never seems to stop. But it is what it is. You got to battle through it. Obviously, I hate to keep saying this, but they battled through it some years ago to win the Super Bowl, and that's all been well stated and all. But this is definitely a completely different season, a different team, and the mentality just doesn't seem to be the same. It's like they go through the motions. There's been finger pointing in the locker room. There's been all sorts of stuff, and it every year is going to take on a different variation. There's going to be seasons where you can overcome things. There's going to be seasons where you can't. And to this point, look, I mean, all that said, there's still a chance that they can make a run here, win the division title, get to the postseason, and maybe make a run in the postseason. You just never know. They're really even at 5-5 at this point. There is still a chance that because the fact they're just a game behind Dallas, the fact that Dallas has a tough game this week against those aforementioned Patriots, but that in their case they're playing in Foxborough against the Patriots, and they have a tough game on paper, and paper is what it is. As we know, you can't really rely on it, to say for sure it's going to be a loss for them, or a win or a loss for us. I mean, you just really never know. I mean, the Patriots, not for nothing. I mean, they're coming in a bit banged up themselves. Obviously, their defense has played really well, but their offense has struggled, including last week. And the Eagles' defense played really well. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from the defense. I mean, they did everything they could to win the game. Unfortunately, the offense didn't do their part. I mean, Carson, it was a struggle. I mean, it's been much talked about all week long about Carson Wentz and his struggles last week against the Patriots. And as I said in my last vid, as the post game reaction to that game, I'm not trying to excuse his performance at all. But again, I'm looking around at these players, and it's just like, there's only so much you can do. Now, if you are going to be a franchise quarterback, you do have to make those players around you better. You have to put them in positions to make those catches, to make those plays. And I know there were some overthrows last week and underthrows, including the last drive. Obviously, everyone remembers the Nelson Aguilar drop in the end zone and on the fourth down, basically hero throw, which was there. I mean, a zero blitz by the Patriots. The throw was still there. Carson got it off, and it was there to be caught. And Aguilar just couldn't adjust to the ball in the air as he normally can and can't come down with it. It is what it is. Not for nothing, there were missed opportunities before that. There were open receivers that Carson missed. It might not have had to come down to that play. But as it is, it was still a ball that was there to be caught, and Nelson just couldn't do it. But again, Carson, not one of his better performances. And I'm a Carson fan. I'm a Carson believer. I do believe that he is the right quarterback here on this team. I just think that, and I don't want to use this as an excuse, but the injuries over time, the missed time due to those injuries, also with the fact that he is still a young quarterback in this league, and with that missed time, that means missed game time, and these are the type of mistakes that you would see from a quarterback maybe some years earlier in his career, but of course with the injuries, this is almost like his really realistically, and I hope he makes it through the season. I have a lunch bet with a coworker that he's going to get through the season healthy. But this is, if he does, this is his second full year in the league, and obviously the last season that he was playing at an MVP level was the 2017 season. Last year, coming off the injury, was not a tremendous season. He still put up decent numbers, but it wasn't a tremendous year for him. And of course, at the end of the year, he was out. Nick Foles comes in, and we all know the rest there. This season, though, could he be playing better? Absolutely. Should he be playing better? Absolutely. And I am not one of those Eagle fans that think that Nick Foles should still be here and Carson should be elsewhere because of the two quarterbacks. I just think it was the right decision to go with Carson. He's the future. You gave up everything you did to move up in the draft to get him. I mean, all due respect to Nicky Six, who won the Super Bowl, who was the Super Bowl MVP, but of the two quarterbacks, I still would have gone with Wentz going forward. I do think that some of this does fall on the front office. They have to give him weapons, better weapons at the wide receiver position, and that means you got to draft better than they've done. And I don't know if that's something that's going to come overnight. I have no idea. I'm not a draft Nick. I'm not one of those who knows every single receiver coming out of college. So I don't know, what the wide receiver core looks like, what the wide receiver position looks like coming out of college. Maybe some of you know, feel free to leave comments if there are receivers right now that you would like the Eagles to get this. I hate to talk about the offseason because we're still many weeks away, but, coming up in the this offseason's draft. I also don't know about the free agents who could be out there, what have you. But I do know that the wide receiver position is something they're going to have to address. I think they're good at tight end. I think they're good at running back. I do hope they bring Jordan Howard back. I think he's been productive when he's been out there, obviously. I like Miles Sanders. I think with the two of them, you have a two-headed monster at running back that could have good production here for a number of years. Obviously the offensive line, hey, look, they're not getting any younger. Probably going to lose Peters in the offseason. Jason Kelsey, the last how many years has, kind of rumbled about retirement. So we'll see what happens there. I do think you're still good at right tackle with Lane Johnson. I think you're good at the guards, but we might need another center. Dillard at left tackle I think will be fine, but we might need a new center. And more depth on that offensive line. And that's something that they've always done a good job with, so I'm not as concerned about the O-line, but I'm certainly concerned about the receivers. And I'm not using it as an excuse for Carson. It might sound like I am, but they need to get better at the wide receiver position. You need to have weapons. And not for nothing, and I know I've said this before, it's like, a broken record, sorry if you've heard this before, But we see every week all these other teams, including Seattle, coming in. You have a receiving core with young receivers or veteran receivers who make plays, who adjust the balls in the air. Maybe not every pass is going to be perfect, but those receiving cores that you see every week in this league that go out and make those plays for their quarterbacks, we're just not seeing enough of that here. And again, that falls on the front office for not drafting well enough at the position, for keeping hope for older receivers in the free agency period, not going young there, not going for youth. And it's a detriment to where they are right now. I mean, I do believe this defense has gotten steadily better as the season has gone on. Obviously, now they're getting guys back healthy, and that's a plus. I mean, Nigel Bradham coming back this week at the linebacker position, that could just help the linebackers that I think have played decent. They've missed some plays, but I think overall it's been decent. They've been great against the run up front. They've taken away the run from their opponent just about every week. It's been a real strength of this defense. And, in recent weeks, they've gotten more pressure on the quarterback, right? Even last week, they weren't sacking Tom Brady, but they made him throw the ball a lot sooner than he wanted to. And look, Brady struggled this past week. He really wasn't the reason why the Patriots won that game. You also look at the offense, and as I said last week, has been said by many Eagle fans. I mean, we look at Doug Peterson, we look at the brain trust on this offense, and the play calling has been, piss poor. And I understand last week Miles Sanders went out, and that may have been the reason why they became so pass happy, because they almost, how many healthy running backs do you have at that point? They just brought Jay Ajayi in on that Friday, so they really weren't going to throw him into the mix as much as, maybe they would have if he was here for a few weeks. So you're really down to Boston Scott at that point. And yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, we've seen, even when they've had healthy running backs, just the unbalance in the offense, pass, and it's a problem, particularly when your weakness on the offense is the wide receiving core. And you're putting the ball in the air that many times. And I understand you have two really good tight ends, but the wide receivers have let this team down time after time after time. But in the games that even they have been effective, it's been when they've ran the ball, when they've had that balance, when they've run the ball, opening it up for the passing game, even with the receivers that aren't much to write home about. They've still had decent games with that. And I hope that this week, and I understand Howard isn't going to play. Maybe we'll see Jay Ajayi in there. He'll be implemented into the offense. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, whoever it is that runs going to be used as a running back, I would hope that they would run the ball more. And I think against Seattle you can run the ball on them. This is a defense that isn't quite the defense they had in years past. Now, they are good. I mean, they do have some good players on defense. Obviously, we keep lamenting the fact that they didn't go after Jadeveon Clowney, but Jadeveon Clowney's there, who had a really good game a couple weeks ago against the Niners. Bobby Wagner's still there, one of their defensive leaders. It's still a stout defense, but they're not what they used to be. There's not a lot of boom in the Legion these days. They are a team that you can pass against and you can run against and have some success. But they have played better in recent weeks, and it is going to be one of those chess match type of games. One of the big importances for this game is the offense. And I say that because you want to keep number 3 off the field as much as you can, and that means you got to sustain drives. You don't want to do what they were doing a week ago and going 3 and out, or maybe a first down and then punting. First down, punting. All these, how many in a row possessions where you're punting the ball? You certainly don't want to do that against Russell Wilson because he is playing at a very high level right now. I know it's between him and Lamar Jackson right now in a lot of people's eyes of who's going to be the league MVP. Honestly, you can flip a coin. I mean, both of them have been that good. They have meant that much to their teams, and they have had tremendous seasons, both of them. I'm a little partial to Russell. As I said before, he's my favorite non-Eagle in the league. So I would vote for Russell. over Lamar, but Lamar's played spectacular as well. I don't think you can go wrong either way. But the fact is that you still want to keep Russell on the sidelines as much as you can at a high level as he's playing. Do I believe that this Eagles defense can give him some trouble, can give the Seattle offense some trouble? Yes. The one thing that does concern me, though, is Seattle's wide receiving core is very athletic. They're quick. And we haven't gone up against a wide receiving core like this in a number of weeks. Now, the Eagles defense has played better in the secondary, and part of that reason is because their front has been getting more pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. But Russell, obviously, as we know, is an elusive quarterback. He keeps many a play alive with his feet. If you get him out of the pocket, he's dangerous, okay? So you want to try the best you can to keep him in the pocket. That means no over-pursuing. Now, we've seen at times this defense kind of over-pursues, and when you miss the quarterback and you give an athletic quarterback like Russell a chance, he's going to beat you. He's either going to beat you with his feet, or he's going to roll around and throw the ball deep, and here comes those athletic young wide receiving core of the Seahawks, like a DK Metcalf, who should have been drafted by the Eagles, or Josh Gordon, who should have been picked up by the Eagles. This is, again, the Seahawks are the what-if team for the Eagles, right? Clowney, Metcalf, Gordon, all these guys that the Eagle fans wanted, and they're all in Seattle. But so Seattle's known for coffee, grunge, and getting players that Eagle fans want, I guess. But anyhow, no, it's dangerous when you allow playmakers, athletic receivers like that. They get Lockett back from injury too. It's a recipe for disaster, and I know that this secondary has played better in recent weeks. They haven't gone up against a receiving core like this in a number of weeks. And I know they're all together now. All together now. Yeah, they are. But this is a big test and a big task for this defensive secondary when you're going up against guys like Lockett and Metcalf and Gordon, just athletic receivers who are quick, who make plays on the ball in the air, who can adjust to the ball in the air many a time. So it is definitely going to be a challenge for this defensive secondary. But again, this is where one of the strengths of this defense has always been their front, has always been putting pressure on the opposing quarterback, stopping the run. Now, Seattle has a good running back in Carson. Okay, so you want to control him and make Seattle one-dimensional. That one dimension is good with Russell, but still, make them as one-dimensional as you can. Get pressure on Wilson, but don't over-pursue. Because if you miss him, he's gone. In a blink of an eye, he's going down the field. He's either throwing a deep pass to one of his athletic receivers, or he's running for a big gainer down the field. And we've seen him do this how many times over the years, right? His 8th season in the league out of Wisconsin, where my dad went to school. So he's a Badger. But no, obviously the theme for this game going into this week, the theme for this team right now is you got to keep number 3 off the field as best you can. And that means the offense has to be on point. That means the offensive scheming has to be on point by Doug and by the offensive coordinators. They got to come up with a game plan that's going to keep our offense on the field and keep Seattle's biggest weapon, their greatest asset right now, is their offense. It's not quite what it was years ago when, all due respect to Russell, but the greatest asset of the Seahawks was their defense and the Legion of Boom. It's not quite that anymore. Now it's kind of shifted more to the offense. Oh yeah, their defense can make some plays, but their greatest asset is that offense. So you want to keep that offense off the field, and you'll have a better chance of winning the game. Of course, you got to score some points. I'm not saying go down the field, an 8-minute drive and settle for a field goal. You got to get in the end zone. Okay, you got to find the end zone on multiple opportunities because, Seattle, again, very dangerous offense, and, they're going to get some points. I'd love to say the Eagles can shut them out, but they're going to get some points, Seattle. So, yeah, the biggest thing for this team this week is to stay on the field offensively, sustain drives, touchdown scoring drives, keep Russell Wilson and the Seattle playmakers on that side of the ball off the field, onto the sidelines, in the jackets and whatnot, because it's probably going to be cold. It's probably going to rain and whatnot. I mean, they're used to that. The weather's not thing that they're not used to in Seattle. If it rains, they're going to feel right at home because it rains all the time over there, as we know. So The weather is not going to affect the Seahawks. But, again, try to keep that offense off the field as best you can. And defensively, don't over pursue Russell Wilson. Stay at home. Try to keep him in the pocket as best you can. And you'll have a greater opportunity to win this game. This is a huge game. It's a must-win. Let's face it. Regardless of what happens in New England, whether Dallas wins or loses, this is a must-win. This is a must-win. Why? Because now you start to go up to the rest of the schedule, and I'm not taking any team lightly here. I'm not, okay, because it's the Eagles. And I've seen many a game over the years where the Eagles should have won a game on paper going into the week, and then it blows up in our face. But after the Seattle game, look, I mean, you're playing at Miami. You're playing teams like the Redskins and the Giants, and those are division games, but they're not playing overly great. There are opportunities here to win games. And obviously the big one, they're all big, but the real big one in December when Dallas rolls in, which could decide the division that game. But obviously it's a must-win. And I know Seattle's a good team, and they have a really good head coach. They have a really good system there. They have a very good quarterback, and they are dangerous. They are athletic on offense. They make plays. And, our offense, as we saw last week, didn't exactly make a lot of plays after that first, part of the game. And we need to do better. It needs to be better across the board. It needs to be better by the coaching staff. It needs to be better by the players. Carson's got to be better. I mean, the players on the field. I mean, whoever's on the field, you still got to make plays. You got to be better than what they were. And we're going to see. Obviously, it's another home game. And I know the Eagle fans are going to be there in full throat. So shout out to the Eagle fans that will be at the game, such as the Mighty E-Rock and the 4th and John crew. I mean, these guys, the guys and gals out there that go to the games, they represent Eagles Nation very well. They're always in full throat. It's a great home field advantage. And I know the Eagles have lost some games at home this season, but at the same time, the fans are still there. They're making noise. They're doing their job. And now we need the total team this week to do their job, because it's going to take a total team effort to beat Seattle. So that's basically my views about this game coming up. I'm looking forward to watching it. It is a game that I feel is a must-win, and I believe that they feel it's a must-win. And a lot of times when their backs are to the wall, it's almost like their backs should be to the wall every game, A lot of times when their backs are to the wall, including this season, they've come out, they've won that game. The Green Bay game, the Buffalo game, 2 examples of that so far this season. So again, their backs are to the wall. They're a game behind Dallas. If they win, and if it really is tough to want the Patriots to win a game, but they win so much, So maybe one more. I know they've had that. There's now talk. There was someone on the roof spying. You know what? I know the Patriots have done a lot of cheating over the years and spied. You know what? Against Dallas, that's okay. Just you do whatever you have to do, New England. If you need a whole crew of people on the roof, drones, whatever you need to do, inflated balls, whatever you need to do this week to beat Dallas, you go ahead, you patriot it up, you do whatever you have to do. Cheat. You can even go to the Astros, and you can get the cameras that they had in the dugout there, okay, in the trash cans or whatever they were doing to steal the signals. Find their equipment and use it. Okay, whatever you need to do to win this game against Dallas, you go right ahead, New England, and you do. Cheat it up this week to beat them. As an Eagles fan, I will approve of it, okay? And by the way, Dallas fans, now you get to see who the Patriots are. Because, since the Patriots became a dynasty, Dallas hasn't been to an NFC title game. So now, all the Dallas fans get to finally see the Patriots. Oh, you get to be introduced to Hoodie and Brady and them. Oh, yeah. Oh, we know who the Patriots are. Yeah, we've tangled with them a few times. Dallas, not so much. At least in the big games, in the Super Bowls. We've dealt with them twice. Dallas, The Patriot, Kraft and Belichick and Brady, they're all sitting there. They said about the different, they reminisce about all these teams they've had to do battle with over the years, and in the Super Bowls, like the Giants and the Eagles and all these different teams. Dallas comes up like, who are they? Who are they? No, we don't know who they are. And I have to. Anyhow, as you always throw a jibe in there to Dallas anytime you can, okay? But anyhow, no. Huge game on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, kickoff on Fox, and Festive knows about Fox. And so, hey, we're hoping for a big win on Sunday. It always feels better after a win, right? And we got Thanksgiving coming up next week. It would be really nice if the Eagles can give us an early Thanksgiving, treat and win this game against Seattle, going into Miami. Hopefully don't overlook the Dolphins and keep this winning thing going and give us a ride. Give us a ride. You got the holidays coming up. It's always better when the Eagles are winning or in the conversation for playoffs and all right. Got the holidays and everything. So let's go Birds as always. Our Birds, okay, because we're playing the Pacific Northwest Birds. But our Birds in green, in Eagles green, right? Midnight green. Although I wish they would wear the Kellys every now and then, but we'll get to that eventually. But no. Let's go, Eagles. Let's go, our Birds, and beat Seattle. Find a way. Backs to the wall. It's there. Get it done. Let's get to the Festive 4 real quick here. Festive last week went 3-1. Overall record right now is 27-13. Festive doing some things. But here's the Festive 4 for week 12. Of course, the Thursday night game, Festive doesn't bother with the Thursday. Festive, do you bother with the Thursday night game? Yeah, that's a wave off. But anyhow, the Thursday night game, of course, the Texans over the Colts last night. But here are the 4, again, just winners that Festive feels are going to win this week. And first of all, Festive likes Pittsburgh to get back in the win column against Cincinnati. The Bungles just keep losing and keep losing and keep losing, and Festive believes this week will be no different. Festive also likes Chicago over the Giants. San Francisco over Green Bay. Oh, it's dangerous picking against Green Bay, Festive. You know that from earlier. Festive's willing to give it a shot again. And last but not least, Festive likes Oakland over the Jets. So again, in recap here, it's Pittsburgh over Cincinnati, Chicago over the Giants, San Francisco over Green Bay, over the Jets. The New York teams aren't getting any love from the Meadowland New York teams aren't getting any love from Festive this week. But anyhow, that's the Festive 4. There is no more, and there is no more for this video. Oh my goodness, I kept it under 30 minutes. Oh, miracle. So anyhow, as I said before, and as I always will say, let's go our Birds this week against the Pacific Northwest Birds and send them back with a loss. We go to Miami with a win. We go to Thanksgiving with a win. How great would that feel, right? Don't give us indigestion early. There's enough of that that's going to be going on Thursday night. Let's not have some of that on Sunday evening, okay? So let's get a win, back in the win column, get above 500, hope the Patriots can beat Dallas, and then we're tied with them again. And like I said, it's still a winnable division. Anything can happen. We can go on a run. Make it happen, Eagles. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Better coaching, offensive coaching game for you there, Dougie and Carson. We need a better performance by you too, okay? Defense, you do your thing. Don't over-pursue Russell. Keep him in the pocket if possible. I know it's hard. Keep him in the pot. He gets away. He's elusive. He's like a fox. Very elusive. Right, Festive. Anyhow, that's going to do it. I'll see you all after the game.